Welcome everyone, my name is Liam Leston, and in this video, I will be talking about my theories for the investigation episodes 9 and 10 for Danganronpa F, Shattered Hope. Today's theory will include the following topics. Who are the 3 participants that discovered the body? How the killer might have gotten the long rope? And finally, who attacked Enigma on the night of the murder? Unfortunately, I won't be talking about who the killer is today, because that part is not ready to be shared. Despite that, since the investigation episodes have been out for a while, I wanted to at least talk about some parts of this murder plot. But before getting into the theory, I wanted to take a moment to thank the Shattered Hope team. I've had a lot of fun trying to make sense of this murder mystery. It has had a lot of strange occurrences and plenty of clues given to the audience without making the culprit too easy to guess. And so, thank you. And now, let's discuss this mystery. First, let's talk about who are the 3 participants who discovered Rox's body. Based on Rox's testimony, there are 2 other people who found the body before him. To give us the best chance at identifying the killer, we need to determine the 3 participants who discovered the body. The evidence I am using to point to the first person is the broken shards found at the crime scene. We know 2 things about these shards from Korza. 1, they are not glass, and 2, they are not something found around the school, suggesting they are one of the participants' unique items. A common theory amongst the community is that the shards are made of some sort of crystal. This would explain why they look like glass while not being glass. This might point to Rock because the crystal could be linked to his geologist background. However, I think this is unlikely, because Rock is almost certainly the 3rd person to discover the body. That means he could not have left the shards there earlier, otherwise he would not have set off the body discovery announcement when he arrived in the morning. If Rock had brought the shards in the morning, I would expect Cross to have said something about it in his testimony. Rather, this piece of evidence is more likely to point towards the presence of another character. Another theory that I've seen from the community is that the shards are from a scrying mirror from Cancel. Scrying mirrors are normally made from crystal. This fits the requirements that the shards are not glass and not found around the school. I also like this theory because I think it can be used to explain other elements of the mystery. Being a scrying mirror, it could explain why Cancel went to the room in the first place. We know that Cancel was fed up being in bed all day because of being sick. So given that she had a scrying mirror, while she was still recovering, she may have used the scrying mirror to entertain herself. In it, she may have seen something of note that drew her attention to room 1B, but she wouldn't know entirely what it is. Thus, when she was feeling better late into the night, she would leave her room to investigate. Once she opens the door, she would be the first person to discover the body. She is frightened by what she sees and drops the scrying mirror. This explains why the mirror is broken, but also why it would be found near the door. Cancel, in terror, flees room 1B and returns to the safety of her room. However, in her haste, she leaves the door to the room wide open. Remember this because I will come back to it later. Once Cancel is in her room, she has time to calm down. It is then that she realizes the Rox might still be alive. So she gathers up the courage to return to room 1B. However, this is when she finds Pocket in the lounge talking to himself. Pocket's strange behavior defeats what little courage Cancel had, and she ends up staying in her room, leaving Rox abandoned. I think that Cancel is telling the truth about Pocket, but rather she is just being dishonest about the details around it. In the morning, she never mentions this to anyone because she feels guilty about not even attempting to save Rox. This can also explain why she's not able to use her talent to help determine the killer, because the only tool she had to do so was her unique item, the scrying mirror. She can't explain to the group that it broke, thus, she simply just says that she can't. The second person to discover the body might be Cross. According to his testimony, after the motive announcement, Cross spent the entire day in his room. Given that this is true, it means that Cross would have not eaten anything all day. So it's possible that Cross woke up early so that he could go to the kitchen, eat and gather food before the other participants woke up. However, as mentioned earlier, if Cancel fled the room in terror, she might have left the door open. Thus, the next person to walk by that room would be able to see Rox's body as they passed by. Thus, this would make Cross the second person to discover the body. This event could explain some of the other elements of the mystery. If Cross did find the body second, being a person of initiative, he might have set up something of a trap to gather more information. He might have closed the door to room 1B and hid inside the room with the red door and left the door open just enough for him to watch what the other students do. To his surprise, Rock enters the room for seemingly no reason. Rock said the door was open a little bit, but Cross would know that this is a lie. This is why Cross enters the room shortly after and why he immediately begins to question Rock. But also consider that Rock testified that Cross didn't even take a second look at Rox. This could be because Cross had already found the body. As for why Cross didn't tell anyone about this, I think he doesn't trust anyone. As he says, he intends to investigate by himself. Similar to Anon, he chose not to share any evidence. Talking about Anon, there is still some question of what his involvement with the body discovery is. So as a bonus, we will consider that he might have been one of the people to discover the body. This largely has to do with the timing that Cancel found the body. It is possible that Cancel actually found Rox before she died. We know that the time of death given was only an estimate. The reason Rule would give an estimated time of death is likely because Rox did not die immediately upon being hanged. Rule could only guess when Rox actually died. So it is possible that Cancel could have entered the room after Rox was hanged, but before Rule declared Rox to be dead. If Rox was still alive, then Cancel could not have been the first person to discover the body. It also means that Cancel may have had the opportunity to save Rox. Then, because of Pocket being in the lounge, this prevents Cancel from returning to the room and becoming the first person to discover the body. This then means that Cross and Anon would be the first and second person to discover the body. Thus, the three people we find in the room end up being the three to discover the body anyways. Let's talk about the long rope. We know that one of the requirements for the murder is having access to the long rope. The shorter ropes and tape were easily accessible by anyone, but the long rope was hidden in the back of the storage room. Both Yaxie and Twin meet this requirement. However, it is possible that another character may have gained access to the long rope off camera without the audience's knowledge. I think via Yaxie's testimony, we can potentially explain how this may have occurred. The first line that stands out as strange to me is this one. It was definitely here last night when I was around. I'm going to claim that Yaxie should not know this. When she testifies about the time Twin finds the rope, she mentions that they chose not to use the rope and they put it back where they found it. If they had put it back, that means the rope should still be hidden from normal view. We know this is true because after the body is found, Grisp testifies that he was still unaware of the long rope's existence. Thus, I would conclude that the only way the Yaxi would know if the rope was there or not was if she had gone and looked for it. She would only do that if she had planned on using the rope. Furthermore, there is a line that actually suggests that Yaxi did use the rope. She said, "Still a little surprised the rope held her. Didn't think it was that durable. Best you take my words with a grain of salt, though. I tend to underestimate my own strength." How would she know the durability of the rope unless she used the rope? How would she underestimate her strength unless it was applied to the rope? We know that she didn't use it when she trained with Twin, so I think she used the rope on the night of the murder during the time of the drinking party. After she used the rope that evening, she never put the rope back where she found it. Similar to how she left her stuff in room 1B after working out, any other participant who entered the storage room would be able to find the long rope left out in the open. I also want to note that this could explain some of the damage we find to the rope. During the investigation, we find two sources of damage. One higher up that looks like fraying, and another lower down that looks like pieces are missing. I think that when she applied her strength to the rope, it began to fray. This is the damage we see higher up on the rope. When she caused the damage to the rope was when she realized the rope was not durable and why she would be surprised that it was able to support Rox's weight. Given this, I think that it is likely that Yaxi is not telling us the whole truth about the rope. We should expect some more details to come in the class trial. Next, let's talk about who attacked Enigma in the dining hall. I think the events that led up to Enigma's attack began just before the welcoming party. When Corza arrives at the room, he notices that Pocket is absent, even though Pocket left before he did. When Pocket finally arrived, he said that he stopped by the kitchen to grab a snack. This explanation is not fully satisfying. If we look at Pocket's report card, it says that he dislikes snacks. This would suggest that Pocket lied about why he went to the kitchen. To explain this, I will make note of another strange occurrence around that same time. When they were allowed to enter room 1B, Grisp lets us know that the table with the welcoming party supplies went missing. I think the table was removed because Pocket entered the room early and took a certain item off the table. This was an item that Pocket wasn't supposed to have. So Rule, in hopes of promoting murder, locked the door after Pocket left and removed the table to hide any evidence that this certain item had been taken. But what item did Pocket remove from the table? To answer this, I will draw on several sources. Rule mentions that items provided for the welcoming party include something that is not available in the e-handbook. The item that might not be available is perhaps hinted at the drinking party on the night of the murder. Enigma mentions that he was unaware that they could order drinks via the e-handbook. This line is never addressed directly, but rather Rock simply mentions that the alcohol was Scarlett's idea. The way that I am interpreting this moment is that the alcohol at the drinking party was provided by Scarlett and not the e-handbook. This is because the e-handbook does not provide alcohol. Then, looking at Pocket, there are hints that he is addicted to some sort of drug. During his introduction with Enigma, He asks Enigma for something to help him feel better. It seems like Pocket was asking for some sort of drug. If Pocket was addicted to a drug, it would explain why he talks about his baseball career in the past tense. This means that alcohol could be the item that Rule was referring to for his welcoming party. Pocket may have noticed the presence of the alcohol when the group was moving items to the classroom earlier. The problem is that Pocket is only 20 years old and is too young to drink. To solve this, Pocket chose to leave before everyone else so he would have time alone to take the alcohol and hide it in the kitchen. I think that the alcohol that Pocket hid in the kitchen comes back into play during the drinking party. There are signs that the drinks given out may not have been what they were supposed to be. For example, we were told that Korza was served alcohol, but there are hints that he received something else instead. At one point, Korza says that he was not drunk, and Enigma notes that Korza remained sober. If Korza was given juice instead, it would explain why he was only reluctant to drink at first. Once he realized it was not alcohol, Korza would start to drink normally. Korza wouldn't say anything because he didn't want alcohol and would have thought that Rock did this intentionally to trick Rox. Something similar may have happened for Rissy. We are told she received juice that was disguised as alcohol. Strangely, she began acting drunk anyways. We are led to believe this to just be a placebo effect, likely just part of some sort of goofy moment. However, I would like to note that when Pocket arrives, he drinks the same stuff as Rissy and claims that it was a strong drink. Given that Pocket might have a history with alcohol, this would make his claim credible. It seems that the juice and alcohol got swapped at some point and ended up going to the wrong people. This mix-up might have been a result of Pocket hiding the alcohol in the kitchen. It is possible that he did it in a way that would disguise that it was alcohol. So when Rock was preparing the drinks, he was working with improperly labeled items and gave the wrong drinks to the wrong people. This mix-up would be important to Pocket because of his addiction to alcohol. Pocket wanted to keep the drinks for just himself, so he would want to take any remaining alcohol. But because of his age, he can't say or take any actions in front of the others. So after arriving in the lounge with everyone else, he leaves shortly after to return to the kitchen to retrieve the alcohol. Unable to wait due to his addiction, he knocks out Enigma and flees with his prize. It is worth noting that Korza was talking with Scarlet for a while after returning to the lounge. This means that Pocket can't return to his room with the drinks. So instead, he might have gone to the bathroom and drank what little alcohol was left. This could also explain the timing of events. We know that Pocket left the lounge shortly after Rock. Rock arrived at the pool at 9:45 p.m. and then found Enigma at approximately 10 p.m. Later, Enigma finds Pocket in the hallway, presumably just outside the bathroom. This would suggest that Pocket was using the bathroom for roughly 15 minutes. This seems a bit too long. 15 minutes would make more sense if we assume that Pocket knocked out Enigma, took the drinks from the kitchen, and then finished drinking them in the bathroom. To go even a little bit further, Pocket's use of alcohol might explain his jitteriness that Cancel mentions in her testimony. If a heavy drinker stops drinking for several hours, they may begin to shake and have tremors throughout their body. Cancel mentions that she saw Pocket late at night. This means that there might have been sufficient time for the shakes to manifest. This could explain why Cancel thought Pocket was acting jittery. This would then largely suggest that Enigma's attacker only plays a tangential role in the murder of Rox, but it is important for understanding the sequence of events surrounding it. We have now reached the end of the video. Thank you for watching till the end. Let me know what parts you thought were reasonable or not in the comment section below. As well, a thank you to the Shattered Hope team. I look forward to the class trial.